education is like I don't know how to. It's almost like a god. It's almost like as if it's a god. Like your parents does not think you are anything in life unless you have a degree, and then they'll tell you, and then they'll almost like shun you as a kid, where that, hey man, you're not making anything of yourself. What's your degree? And stuff like that. And then sometimes kids become still 27, 28, 30, 40, still seeking that degree to make their parents proud.
Hey, I know that you're a biblical entrepreneur, and I know one thing about entrepreneurs is we're trying to find a place where we can get the ideas out of our head into a community of people who think just like us, who think positive and not negative thoughts about our dreams and our aspirations. And I just want to let you know that there is a place like that. There is a community like that, and it's called the Morning Meetup, right? This Morning Meetup, we're meeting every single day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're getting together in the morning and we're reading through some books, right, that are elevating our mindset. Not only that, but we're being coached by high-level earners, high-level entrepreneurs who are actually pouring value back into us that's helping to make our businesses to scale up, right? And so the best thing, though, is you get a chance to taste and see whether this community is for you for just $1. That's just for $1. I know for me, I've already received the return back on my investment. And so if you want an opportunity to see whether this community is for you, just click the link in the description and come join us at the Morning Meetup.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? You're now in again with the Lion and the Lambo podcast, where we talk about biblical entrepreneurship, where we talk about impact and true success. And I'm so excited for our special guest this evening. We got a couple this evening, right? It's the first time in the history of Lion and the Lambo that we got a couple on, because we all about biblical marriages, right? We talk about biblical entrepreneurship. We talk about biblical marriages too, right? So we got Erick and Smana Perjustes on the Lion and the Lambo podcast. And how you guys doing, man? What's been going on in y'all world?
Well, doing good. Well, we're blessed.
God's been good. God's been good.
Exactly.
Yes.
We just we have a lot going on. I mean, that's the best way to put it right now. I mean, we'll get into it as we move along and talk more in down the line with this podcast. But we do have a lot going on. A lot of changes in our life. A lot of new movement. A
lot of growth.
Yeah.
So we're excited to share with all of you.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of decision making.
That's good, man. That's good. The Lord has given us the power of decision, right? And so, we want to use that power of decision. He wants to co-labor with us. And so I'm excited about that. I want to just remind everybody that you're going to be able to find us anywhere that you can find podcasts. So Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're on YouTube as well if you want to get that visual impact and appeal. And so make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you follow wherever you like to consume your podcast on today. But, man, as we jump into this episode, I just want to know from you guys, I always I'm asking my podcast guests this question. If we had to talk to your friends and your family, not to you, right? Not to you two, but if we wanted to talk to your friends and family, if we said, man, who are the Perjustes, right? Who are they, right? What would they tell us?
Are you talking about as a couple or individuals?
I mean as an individuals and as a couple as well.
Oh, well, I'll start with my husband. You can ask anybody. They will tell you my husband is a godly man. That's the first thing. He stands for the truth.
Amen.
And he lives by the truth in the home and outside of the home. That's one thing I say. And as a couple, I'll say we're striving. No, God's been good. We've been married for 4 years now.
About to go 4 years.
4 years in a few months.
Well,
and
awesome! Congratulations.
Well,
Two more months.
Yeah.
So listen, God's been good, and they said the first 7-8 years are like the rocky years, and by the grace of God, we have not had any rocky years. And we stayed in prayer. So I've just been grateful. That's all I have. Maybe you have anything you want to add?
I think you Nelly well for herself. A lot of people know her. Depending on what she's known for a lot. She's known for cooking. because all our friends, she's always cooking stuff like that at the house. And then her personality, and also just being like a supportive person to all her friends. She's always talking to people, in regards to giving people counsel, working a lot with the youth. Even within her own work field, she worked with the youth. So whenever there's a call to help the youth, she's always one of the first people they call to help out the youth. So that's kind of like the main thing. But like she mentioned, as a couple, we just
put God first.
Put God first. There's a lot going on.
Man.
We have
God's been good.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. But there's more to it. But we'll get into them down the line.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. It's good to hear. We used to do a thing back in the day when I was in college called a SWOT analysis. And when I dealt with one teacher in one class, they asked us to do a personal SWOT analysis. And I thought that was so interesting. You talk about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, right? Threats. And so, but they said, go to your friends, go to your family, go to people that right? Ask them to let you know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what opportunities do they see before you, what threats do they see that you need to avoid. And it's so amazing because a lot of times we don't recognize our strengths. we don't see the weaknesses a lot of times in our character, right? We don't see opportunities that before us that other people see on our behalf, right? And threats that we should avoid. And so it's always so interesting to see and hear and think about, well, what do other people, think and consider about us? Now, I just want to find out for you guys, what your background, right? Are you guys coming from African-American background? Are you coming from a Haitian background? What's the background? Because I hear a slight accent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So we from the Caribbean, man. We Haitians, man.
Oh,
so,
from the Caribbean. Man. Man.
It's Haitian. So we both were born in Haiti, but we came here at a very young age. So majority of our lives have been living here in the United States, predominantly in South Florida. South Florida have a big Haitian community.
Right.
Haitians pretty much
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere in South Florida. That's probably like one of the biggest African, black population in South Florida is probably Haitians. Maybe, I don't know.
Cubans.
Well, my African, again, call it blacks. Probably Haitians, probably the biggest group. Sure. Maybe, I'm not sure, but it seems as if that's what it is. But we've been living in South Florida for a majority of our life, and then that's pretty much our background. So we are
now with both of us.
Well, yeah, both of us.
Now, did you guys meet in Haiti or did you guys meet in Florida?
Florida.
We met in Florida because he came here when he was 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I came here when I was 15, and we met way later on when we were a little bit older, and our Caribbean parents told us we could date. So, that's when we met.
Caribbean parents probably start getting at 30, man.
Man, I understand. Okay. I definitely understand. So when y'all were allowed to date, that's when you guys came across each other. Okay. So you guys were both out of college then? So you guys were kind of in your working career at that time?
Wasn't college still. It was early college.
Okay.
You were already at FU, and I just graduated high school. I was about to start BC.
Yeah.
And then that's when we met. Yeah, I was about to start college, and he was already at FU.
Yeah, I was out of college already.
He was already in college because he's about 2 years older than me. So we met through that period of time at his church.
That's interesting. So I want to go back now, right? And just before you guys start coming together, before you guys met, right? The Lord started to lead you guys to come together as a couple. I know that you guys, I'm sure, have a beautiful testimony of how the Lord really led you in that way. But I want to get an understanding of, based on this background that you guys have coming from Haiti, growing up in South Florida, right? With all of the mixed population that it is down in Florida as well. What was the view of money that you had, right? From an early age? What was the view of finances even that you received maybe from the community and even from your church background, the upbringing as well?
That's a loaded question, man. Coming from a Caribbean background, man. If you come from the island, man, and your parents come here as an immigrant, man, the first thing in their mind is survival. They're trying to make the best life as possible for themselves. They understand where they came from in very limited resources. So now in the land of opportunities, there's a big push in that community in general for success. in regards to there's a thing that's like they're sitting in Creole. It's like a joke. Almost young people, they always joke about it. It's something called the 3 L's. It's called L'école, Lakai, L'église. What it means is like it's like 3 L's, but it's like it's school, church, and home.
That's it.
That's it. That's your lifestyle. That's like the lifestyle you have as a young person in a Caribbean household. You got school, you got church, you got home. That's the cycle. So I mean, growing up in, especially even in our church, I mean, I grew up in a very more, I guess I would say more liberal type of church growing up. There's a big there's a big thing for education and encouraging the parents to push the kids to go to school to become doctors, lawyers, and stuff like that. So growing up, I mean, I actually wanted to be a lawyer growing up. I actually heard when I was in high school, my parents, they put me through the Magnum program at one of our high school. For a lot of high school, I was in a law Magnum program, and I had to travel like way across town to go to school. Pursuing that dream, the American dream, right? And so even though I know, other than that, they're not American, but that American dream mindset is still instilled into them, and is promoted everywhere in the church, in conversation around the community. So that's kind of like most of the way, the pushing the direction in regards to money.
Better for you than that.
Yeah, in regards to finances, they just wanted more. And you growing up in a household where possibly your parents doesn't have it all the time. And then you hit a struggle, and then there's a talk about, well, we want you to have a better lifestyle, we want you to have a better career, to do better than we're doing. We don't speak the language very well. You come at a very young age where you could adapt easier to the environment, to your culture, and get a nice education to understand how to speak and write in English, and just being able to understand the culture and then navigate through the culture. I think that's one of the biggest things for our parents is that the cultural differences, and them being adjusted to the cultural differences is a big barrier for them. Also, the language barrier also is another thing for them. So there's a big push for that, and success in the Haitian. I mean, if you're Haitian, man, and you grew up in a Haitian household, success is at the highest. I mean, it's like they probably even in a Christian household, they put success before even church. Sometimes, man, it's push. Yeah, you have to go get it. Make something out of yourself. If you graduate college or get a nice job, it's almost as if you are
made it.
Like you made it. You made it. And then,
right.
The family proud.
Exactly. You make the family pride, and even in the community, I encourage everybody, clapping your parents, saying your parents good job for raising good kids. That's most of our background. I mean,
it's pretty much very similar. My dad came here working 2-3 jobs because when he came here about 30 years ago, my mom and my siblings were still in Haiti. So he had to work, get a lawyer, literally riding a bike to 2 jobs, paying lawyers, in order to bring us here. And, when we got here, it's like, okay, hey, these are all the sacrifices I've made. I don't want anything back. However, you have to use this opportunity and do better for yourselves because of the sacrifices I've made. So that's always been a push. Even the community, like Erick mentioned, and even our church, when we graduate school, they also have a graduation at church for us as well. That's how much they put a big emphasis on education and for you to succeed and do for yourself.
Yeah, so finances, man, in regards is getting it at all costs. That's the best way to put it. Just go out and get it. And of course legally, but it's just
of course. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, but you still got those those nuances, there's always
right.
Yeah, but that's our upbringing, man.
So that's interesting. So it makes me think when you talk about coming from the cultural differences, right, and the switch, this desire, right, to reach out for this American dream. Do you think that it caused or had any negative effects on maybe making you more risk averse than you may be right today now, right? Because when we think about entrepreneurship, right, when I think about an entrepreneur, I think about somebody who's stepping out on faith, right?
Mhm.
Because when I think about a lot, and this is not a knock on, of course, working or jobs and things, of course, right? But when you talk about being an entrepreneur, you're talking about literally creating something from nothing in many
Yeah.
instances, right?
Mhm.
And so it is literally a step out on faith. And so being an entrepreneur in many different areas of the culture and different areas of different communities is not looked favorably upon, especially when our parents, right, have put in the work and effort in order to say,
Yeah.
I've got you into this school, right? And now you're talking about leaving from doing this particular thing and you're going to go do what? No, we're not having this conversation. So I guess my question is, did that have any effect on maybe how it caused you to not to avoid as many risks as possible, or what effect it had on maybe your entrepreneurship thought process and journey, especially in the beginning?
I mean, it varies, sometimes, like, because I think it varies based on how we get into entrepreneurship. I think that although I don't think that really had a huge impact at the beginning, because I didn't really grow up with an entrepreneurial mindset, or probably still a bit, like a little bit all the way to college. Just kind of most aware that push now started coming in. But going into it, also you have a fear factor also of failing, and also not being able to make the family meet the family standard, or that's something that they will be approved of, type of mindset, because in a way they want you to go to the college and finish college and stuff like that. And as we go through the story, into regards to my journey into entrepreneurship, that pretty much started in college. And I debated at one point to leave college, but I know that would be an issue, because my parents, they want the degree. They don't care about you taking a risk and thinking this might be your home run. I mean, any parents, even myself, if I become a parent, I mean, I will support my kids through entrepreneurship lifestyle. I understand the benefit of it, but I still want you to have some type of paper in your hand, and I could see that culture. I mean, it's hard, like there's a culture that's behind the Haitian culture. That's like education is like it's a must, man. It's like education is like I mean, I don't know how it's almost like a god. It's almost like as if it's a god. Like your parents does not think you are anything in life unless you have a degree, and then they'll tell you, and they'll almost like shun you as a kid, where that, hey man, you're not making anything of yourself. What's your degree? Stuff like that. And then sometimes kids become still 27, 28, 30, 40, still seeking that degree to make their parents proud. So this, like you're saying, like the risk factor, and how did that play out into making the decision to go into entrepreneurship is the way it played for us. It wasn't really that much of a fear to start with, but eventually when I got into it, it became a fear a little bit.
Okay, that's it. Go ahead.
Job.
Yeah.
No, I was saying, like, when he actually got into it, he actually left his job to do it full time.
Yeah.
So that's where the fear factor came in. It's like, okay, I have to make this work because I left my job.
Yeah.
And people are watching me. I left my job to do this full time.
Yeah.
And so when you did, and we're gonna circle back around, but just briefly, right? When you left, right, and went full time into this entrepreneurship journey that you jumped out into, were there any realizations that kind of popped out in your life and experience when you had to now say, okay, everything that comes in income wise is not actually tied to an entity anymore, or it's not tied to another person outside of me, right? Like my effort now produces fruit that then comes back in. Was there any realizations for you at that time? Because I know for me, like that, I learned a lot about myself during those, beginning moments and years,
Yeah. So, like that at the beginning stage, so I had a partner. Me and my partner, we used to be on the phone sometimes a lot, late night, just talking, man, just chopping it up, and just, and at that time I wasn't really like in the church like that. I grew up in the church, but I was not really. I mean, I was a bench warmer, man. I was a guy, man. I look to the top of the line. Well, I mean, I'll come to the church at like maybe like just about 12:30. I'll come to church at 11 o'clock, 11:15.
Oh, you stepping in there like, hey, I was there though. I was there though.
I'll come in and I'm looking for the back seat, the last row.
Now, were both of y'all parents in the church though? Were y'all parents?
Yeah.
They both grew y'all up in the church though, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
But it's just like, it's just that's kind of like the mindset I had at that time, and then with my partner, we used to always talk about it, get on the phone, we'll talk about different stuff, and then when it came to make a decision, we saw what I guess drive it home for us when we calculate how much money that was bringing in, and then we saw like, okay, well, this could cover some stuff that we were paying out, like if this could cover this, and then at that time we were still living at home. Well, I was living at home. My partner was not living at home. He was living by himself. And then we calculate into it. We're like, well, he'll be able to cover his rent. And I'm like, okay, I'll be able to cover the basic necessity that I have, phones and insurance, stuff like that. And all right, man, let's go. Let's just do it, man. But at the same time, you still have the fear, man. Like, man, what if will this really work? Will this be it? But like you say, you just take a leap of faith and you just you go out there and you just do it.
Now, Smana, what was your first dive into entrepreneurship? Was it in college as well? Was it before then, or what was that first moment for you when you started to making those steps into that?
Well, for me, it was recent with our current business,
Gotcha.
with my Apparel. Unlike my husband, my experience was very, very different. How do I say it? I believe in guarantees. That's how I was raised. I'm like, okay. And that's what I was taught. Okay, you go to work, you work your 40 hours, you get a paycheck, you pay the bills, and the more degrees you have, the better you do at your job, you get a promotion, the more money you have. And I've spoke even through college, he will always talk to me, baby, is there something you would like to do? I'll help you. Like he will, you remember, he would always like kind of pull that.
Leave the job.
It was, is there anything? I'm like, no, like I will care at my job. I was always satisfied because I'm like, okay, at least this is guaranteed. I know I go to work 40 hours, I get the paycheck. And for a lot of us, that is the culture. We, that's what we learn. We go to school, we get the degree, we get a job, and we work 20, 25, 30 years, and then we retire. Then after 10 years, God is willing, we die. That's just what we learn. So it took a lot for God to open my eyes to go, okay, this is where I'm calling you. This is what I need you to do. And, and we'll talk about it a little bit more where now we have Modest Apparel, which is a testimony on its own, but we had different upbringings in that aspect. That business stuff wasn't gonna roll in my household.
So you was all about the guarantees. Your family was also about the guarantees. So now when you now get with this individual and when you guys really started to push Modest Apparels, were you guys married at the time, or were this before you guys got married?
We were already married.
So you were married. Okay, gotcha. Okay, good. Because I want to ask that question, right? Because now was what Brother Erick? When you were at this time where you were courting, this young lady, were you then like fully engaged in this, full time, or are you still had something else going on?
So when we started dating, I was actually in college, and because I was I got to college, I entered as in law. No, I graduated high school in law, but I didn't really like it. So when I entered college, my brother was doing engineering, so I'm like, man, you know what? I'm gonna try engineering. I entered college as an engineering major, and then after the first year, I took a few engineering class. I didn't like them, so I eventually doubled back and I switched to business. And then from there, I enjoy business a bit more. It made more sense to me. And at that time, I was working at my first job ever was at Foot Locker. I was working at Foot Locker at a very young age. My first job, I was about 15. I started working at Foot Locker, and then I worked that all the way to college. And then from when I got to college, I switched my major to finance and business. then I'm like, okay, I'm in college. You know, they told you when you're in college, you attend seminars. They tell you, well, you got to start looking into getting some type of work part time and within your field. So by the time you graduate, you get your foot in the door. So by the time I was like, I think a sophomore, my sophomore year in college, I went to the bank. I started working at the bank, and then my goal was to eventually go to the bank and within finance and work my way through it. And then that was the goal. And then until like the business ideas started coming in. As you're taking business classes, you getting business ideas. It started early for me. More so like I used to collect shoes. And then one thing about if all my guys that's into shoes, sneakerheads, or if you know about that type of lifestyle, when if you did live that lifestyle,
hundreds.
I mean,
of shoes.
I used to collect.
Pairs upon pairs.
Bro, I used to collect shoes, and then in the Caribbean household, I'm bringing all these shoes in, and my parents are like, "Bro, you bring one more shoes to this house, I'm kicking you out." And I'm just like, you don't understand. This is like money,
All right.
And then, I used to just buy shoes, sit on them for a long. Sometimes I sell, I flip them, bring money in, and then that's kind of like what's my first kind of like dig into business. And eventually, in college, I got into fraternity. I played when I was in college also. And then from there, I started, getting involved in throwing parties and seeing the income from doing parties. And I'm like, bro, this is good. Like, I started understanding, like, well, your output, if you put something out there and you do your own work, you could be successful by doing stuff yourself. Like, that's kind of like my early years in regards to understanding those type of things. And then eventually, I had a friend of mine from high school that me and him growing up, we was real friends, we was co-friends, and then eventually we just started doing some stuff in the side, like photography. We was just messing around with different stuff. We started doing a photography thing on the side, and then eventually, as we're doing photo shoot for people, we used to be heavy into fashion. I used to collect shoes. He used to be into shoes, and sometimes we will style people and stuff like that, and help people out with that type of stuff, and then we'll shoot. And then eventually, he pitched me like, bro, like we should start this clothing thing, bro. And I'm like, bro, wait, what you thinking? He like, man, this, that, we could do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, yeah, bro, that sounds good. Let's try it. And we got together, and we started trying. Our first start in the business of clothing was actually started from we started going to thrift stores because we had the money at the time. We was college students, So I mean, I was in college. I didn't make much money at that time. I was working at the bank part-time, 20 hours, 25 hours a week, and then going to school full-time. And then he was working a full-time job, but he had bills to pay. He was living by himself. He got mortgage, he got rent to pay, all that stuff. So he don't have that much money just to be living around.
Right.
So we started small, and then there was a lot of stuff we didn't know. So we started going to the thrift store, bro, just getting pieces.
Vintage.
And then we started with, and that's at the time, vintage pieces was very hot at the time. People were seeking out vintage pieces. So we started getting heavy into vintage pieces, and then we started making money, and then we started flipping, and then we created our online business, and then we just started taking off, and then from there, it just opened. It just ballooned, bro.
So this was an online business. So at first you was buying the thrift, you selling, it was in person, but then you opened it up to where now you were doing the same thing, still buying the same pieces from the thrift store, but then now you're able to actually sell them online.
Exactly.
At that time. Okay, gotcha. And you still were working with this partner at this time. Now this is in college. So now you're dating your future wife at this time.
Exactly.
This is going on, right?
Yeah,
now both of you were not fully committed to the Lord at this time, correct?
Nah. Well, I mean, bro, like the church, like I don't know. Sometimes, man, I'm trying to think about it, man. Like, religious upbringing. I mean, I grew up in if you know Caribbean household, man, religiously, man, strict religiously, man. I mean, they culturally liberal, but they are spiritually conservatives in a Caribbean household. I mean, they don't believe in drums in the church. They believe in they just whatever you think about conservative. They believe that within the church settings in a sense, but then within that, also within the church setting, they still allow some type of liberal aspect into it in regards
because
to
of culture.
Because of culture, kind of like the liberation gospel. You come from the Caribbean, but immigration is a big thing for you. Prosperity is a big thing for you. Again, the American dream is a big thing for you. So all these things are kind of like promoted a lot heavily, and then being also grew up in we at the church I grew up when it was probably I guess you call it in regards to Seventh Adventism, you call it a mega church in a sense, because it was a big church. And, we had a youth church and an adult church. The adult church had over 1,000 members.
Wow, that is a very big church.
Yeah, youth church probably had maybe 250 youth on there.
And there's about 300 people outside
yeah,
every Saturday.
Outside, parking lot, just hanging out in the parking lot. And then
parking lot praise.
Parking lot praise. So that's kind of like my religious background growing up. And then I mean at home, my parents were very involved in church and stuff like that. My dad was elders and stuff like that, so very involved in church and God. We devotion every morning. My parents would wake us up at 5 o'clock in the morning, have devotion every night, every morning, every night. Then we pray, go to school, stuff like that. It's not that it wasn't there, but it was just not. It wasn't sticking for us. And then there's a lot of Caribbean household, or when you raise up Caribbean kids in America, bro, it's difficult, because the parents try their best, but there's a cultural clash, because the kids are growing up in a like a African American or hip hop culture where the parents grow up in a totally different culture, and then there's a clash there, and then usually that caused a big I guess bumping heads with the parents and the way they were trying to raise the kids up. So I mean, nothing was really sticking for me religiously, man. That's just the best way it is. I wasn't really being taught. There wasn't teaching nothing at my church that would do anything for me. I mean, maybe they were, but maybe I wasn't. It wasn't in my interest. I didn't care, My thing was like, bro, I come to church because my parents told me to go to church, and then Saturday night I'm on the streets. I'm on the street with my friends, and then we partying, we drinking, we just doing our thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is.
And it's so interesting though to hear that, because it always makes me think about how God is literally working on us, throughout all this time. Because even as I think about you guys now meeting in college, and you went from having a love for sneakers, for shoes, right? You saw an opportunity there, you buying specific pairs, sitting on them, and then resell them. Then you moving from that, getting a job at the bank, and that job allowed you to then be able to take some of those funds with your partner to actually start buying some clothes in the thrift store, right? And start reselling. Then you open it up online. But in your mind at that time, you don't know yet where God is leading you and what he's actually going to open the door for y'all to do in the future. So it always just amazes me to see that, and even gives me encouragement, right? When we see, for example, even youngsters in our church that are in certain positions and situations that they are in, even right now, currently, because God has a plan for them. He's even using and preparing them for something that he desires them to do. If they will hear his voice when he calls them out, that all the things that they've learned, he's going to then use those things that they learned in order to then actually do something for the benefit of him and his people and the work of the gospel, right? And so what was that moment that you had for both of you guys, right? Because though you were dating at the time, the truth is when individuals come to Christ, it could cause the other individual to say, yeah, I don't want this anymore, right? So what was that moment that you guys had that was that conversion experience for you that started you on the trajectory to start now say, I need to get serious in my personal relationship with Jesus, right? Which is going to lead, I know somehow, right, to a change in the direction of this business, right, that you guys were doing. But this impact that Jesus had upon you when the Holy Ghost moved upon you is what actually changed the direction, right? And so I want to know what was that conversion experience for each of you, right? Because it may have been the same time, may have been different, right? But for each of you, Smana, what was that moment for you?
It was very different for the both of us, like the timing. but God was working in both our hearts, about different things, right? And we'll talk about the different things we're struggling with, how we feel that God is calling us to do better in certain areas. But we used to attend those a lot of prophecy seminars, right? And it's one thing because we grew up in the church. A lot of things you hear them like every week. You hear them. It's whatever. But it's another thing to actually see a group of people that actually living the word. And once we started going there, we were it wasn't part of our home churches, right? We saw a group of people that, okay, these people are actually living what they're preaching about, right? And to us, that was like to me, well, I'll speak for myself. I'm like, this is different. Like the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they treat each other. It was just such a refreshing togetherness that I haven't seen or experienced. So I'm observing this whole time. I'll make fun of a few people because the full anointing of the Holy Spirit wasn't there yet. But we'll talk. But God was convicting me. But God was convicting Erick about other things, way ahead of time, and he did not know that. And I told him, I was observing him. Certain things he will say, he will make decisions. He'll say, this is where I'm at. I don't know where you at, but he will just follow through with whatever God convict him with. And I will just observe. I'm not saying to judge him, but I'm like, okay, is this serious or is it not serious? And as God is changing him and I'm observing all these things, I started taking these things in prayer. And I cannot pinpoint exactly when the changes started happening in my life because they're happening like slowly. I cannot pinpoint it like that was August 18, but it just happened slowly, gradually. As God revealing these things to me, I'm noticing them and I'm praying about them and I'm praying. And the Holy Spirit is working. About different things in my life. But I know to me, to finish, it was more so of a seeing others living the gospel and not just preaching, because I've been hearing the gospel all my life. But it was just such a life-changing experience to actually see a group of people living the gospel in all aspects that they preached it.
So to get the background of mine was a little bit different than hers. So I have to probably continue from my story from where I left up last time. What we just left right now. So we started the online business, me and my partner, and then eventually we saw with the thrift and stuff, it was doing well online. And then I think when we started saying, okay, we need to take this thing serious, when we had our first $10,000 worth of sale from the thrifting business, we're like, bro, we just made $10,000. This thing could. We had $10,000 in the account somewhere. We're like, all right, bro, we need to start thinking about, okay, well, let's see how can we level this, take this into the next level. And then it was growing, and then we was getting like a lot of requests, and then we used to put stuff out every Sunday. That's what our release was. Every Sunday we release new items out, and then we'll put them on Sundays. By Monday, everything sold out. So like, okay, we need to figure out a way to explode this thing. So we started doing a lot of research, and eventually we got to finding a lot of resources into buying brand new pieces. And then we started selling brand new pieces with vintage pieces. Eventually, that also just ballooned up, and then to the point where, like, okay, bro, we need to start. We need to think about opening a store. So we eventually got together. That was probably like I was about a senior in college by the time when me and my partner wanted to open the store, and then I had maybe like one or two when I had another semester left. And then I'm like, bro, let's just give me the last semester, and then we'll start doing it by
so this process, right, from when you started going to the thrift stores to when you guys are now having this conversation, what was that? How long was that in between?
From switching from thrift store
from when you started buying from the thrift store, selling in person, to then going online, to now getting that 10K in sales, to where you now having a conversation with your partner saying, we need to see what we need to do, right? How long was that from that beginning to that point?
I think all that thing happened within maybe less than a year. happened with less than a year, bro.
So that's pretty quick.
It was quick. It was happening so fast for us, man. And it was like, that's why we were like, bro, we gotta seize the opportunity. I think it took maybe probably up to a year, but I think at max a year it took us, man, literally like a year. And they were like, bro, we need to double down. We used to be on the phone sometime, man, for like 3-4 hours, me and him chopping it up, and talking about the whole vision of what we wanted to do. So eventually, we opened the store, did very well, store online, in person, doing very well. We had the store operating for about 2.5 years. By the third year of our operation in our physical store, we were spending so much money in a lot of the factory. I mean, that we was purchasing clothes from. Imagine, for example, you have a store. Let's say you're purchasing. Just give an example, like $30,000 worth of goods a month, and then you calculate that cost. And then sometimes it's not you're at the mercy of the manufacturers, and then you want to produce your own stuff, and you calculate yourself like, man, if I could, I'm putting $30,000 out. If I could have that $30,000, hire my own people to create my own clothes, then I mean, I could pay. I don't think my overhead would be less than $30,000. So eventually, that was an idea that came up to us. And then being I was in the finance background. There was a lot of knowledge I knew in regards to business operations. So I did a lot of the operations. So we did a lot of forecasting, and then eventually we opened a small factory where we started wholesaling on clothing. Also, we were selling. We had a physical store, and then we had a small, I guess you call it a sweatshop. Had about maybe 9 employees that we hired in there, and then we just create clothes and wholesaling and stuff like that. And then we were on the 2 operations at the same time. It was going well to begin with. The income was generating, but what was killing us was the fabric was buying and shipping it to us way in Florida. And then we didn't calculate too much how the shipping would be, like, I guess the shipping costs. So imagine you buying a roll of fabric. I'm just giving an example of $300. It might cost you $350 just to ship it. Where you like that 350 is going to kill your business eventually. It's going to.
Wow. Yes.
When you're dealing with wholesale, I mean, your profit margin is slim. You basically relying upon volume to make your big money. So eventually that took a toll. When you start doing those 2 businesses at the same time, then online wasn't. Then the store started hurting a little bit because we was trying to focus. It's only me and him as a partner. Doing all that stuff eventually. So things working out where we had to close the business down, and stuff happening during that time, man. I think the Lord was orchestrating during that time. And that's on that time, that's the same time that we were introduced kind of also to that prophecy seminar. Like kind of like at that same time also where all this thing was happening. And then a friend of ours, my brother and a few other friends, they used to have a Bible study at their house, and then they used to have Bible study. They used to invite me all the time. Hey, man, come to Bible study, man. I'm like, man, my thing, bro. I catch that boys at church, and that's it. Just do our thing, And then eventually, man, so Saturday morning was like they used to have this I guess this like a ministry. They used to have prophecy seminar where they'll bring speakers. Like they'll bring Elder Moses Mason, Jeremiah Davies, Boris Berry, Dorian Lemon, Stephen Bohr. So they bring all those guys down, and they had some type of like a prophecy seminar every 3 months. And then one of our friends was introduced to that, and then she eventually, and that was one of my real good close friends, and he eventually, all of us, me, her, they invited us to come to it. Well, all right, bro, check it out. We'll check it out. We'll see what they're talking about. So we went, man, and then it's just like what we was hearing was like, what is this? Is this 7 that I mentioned?
This
that same thing I've been hearing the last years of my life.
Yeah, this is not what I grew up on, So eventually that hit us, then things happen where me and my business partner we set out, we go out different ways, and then now introduced to that, then we have to make decisions in regards to what I'm hearing, what I grew up on. And at that time also I was also in the club business, because when my partner was doing the clothing business and was doing the club business, so we had a club was running on Sunday night. We were running a club night on Sunday night, and then so bro, I ain't in the conviction. Like as I was attending these things, I'm listening to those messages, and then I go Saturday morning to those seminars, and on Sunday next day I have to run the club, and I'm running to the club, and I'm just like, bro, I'm like, for the first time in my life, conviction started like hitting me heavy, bro, like where I feel like it's like a burden on my back, like a load on my back. I have to make a decision, like my head about to explode, that type of, And then just just that how it's, you know, how the Lord played out. It started happening that way. And man, I just went to my boys, my partners at the club business who I was running with, and I asked some other partners at the club business thing I was running also. I'm like, bro, and I just can't do this anymore. And they were like, bro, you sure, bro? You know, we're making money. I'm like, bro, I told them, bro, I just started getting back in church and stuff like that, and I just want to change my life around a little bit, stuff like that. And then eventually, you know, we set our ways. And I remember that night we were having a conversation. There was another guy there. I didn't know he was Seventh-day Adventist, and he didn't know I was Seventh-day Adventist also. But we both were Seventh-day Adventists. And then that night, and then he like, bro, and I'm like, he figured out that I'm Seventh-day Adventist. And he like, bro, you know, I'm Seventh-day Adventist also. I'm like, bro. I didn't know that. I'm like, bro, I didn't know. I'm like, bro, so I'm like, bro, that's the reason why I'm living this thing, bro. I started learning a lot about Seventh-day Adventists more and more, bro. I think this is not the lifestyle for us, bro. And I'm like, I can share with you what I've been learning. He like, nah, bro, I don't want to know yet, bro. Just do your thing. I'm all right, bro. I'm all right, bro.
Do your thing.
Yeah, I do your thing, bro. So literally, I left that, and then we because she's always been like the one that's like more so like more in the spiritual aspect, because she's always taking her like, you know, her. Although she was not there all the way where we need to be at, but she was always more heavy, I guess, spiritually driven than I was. I mean, I think I prayed, but it wasn't like.
I prayed, but I wasn't talking with God though.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Like, I was
yeah.
I'm a part of God. You know, it was most okay. My parents praying at the house. I'm just gonna join because, you know. And then eventually that's what it was for us, man. That's what took us to that journey. And then a person came, and then I left that business, and I just left everything, man.
So at that time, when that conviction came over you, right? Did you just completely drop the clothing stuff as well? Because I know you dropped the club stuff. Did you drop the clothing stuff as well at that time, and just completely just like let everything go?
I started online. I kept the clothing thing online only. I closed the store because me and my business partner was separated.
Gotcha.
So
still online. And you were running that by yourself. You had full, complete control of that at that time.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
And then eventually, man, the conviction came up about that also. That I had to let that go. And at that time, that was my only source of income. So pretty much, and I was convicted, bro. And I'm like, and at that time, my conviction was like, I'm always, like, if I'm convicted, bro, I'm the type of person. I'm convicted, I move. I don't waste time. I move. So eventually, bro, I closed it down. Also, I let the business go. So that was my source of income. I mean, I used to make the money from the club, from that clothing business. That was my two sources of income.
And it was also around that time, because remember we were going to that seminar together, right? So when they were talking about dress reforms and all these things, right? I'm like, okay, I need dress reform, right? I was still in college because, you know, I'm 2 years older. I'm in college, you know, 2 years younger, sorry. Yeah. 2 years younger. I'm still in college. I don't have a lot of money. And I'm like, I like to look nice. Like, God, like, what we're doing. So I'm like, okay, I'll check Goodwill and thrift stores and stuff like that to find nice pieces. I started doing that in for special occasions. I'll go to, like, you know, New York and Company. And I'm like, okay, these are two extremes in the sense. I'm like, I'm gonna pay like $100 for a dress or get a used dress for like $10. But I'm like, there has to be, you know, and we were talking about all these things. I'm like, God, you called me, you know, to dress reform, but I'm like, I also don't want to feel like a grandma. I also want to look nice, you know. I'm a young woman, and all these things we were talking about it. You know, and until God says, okay, this is the way to go. This is how you guys should move. So all these things internally, we were battling with them. And that does happen with a lot of young ladies that I talk to nowadays. It's like, okay, yes, God called me to take on the dress reform, but I don't know how to go about it. Like, where do I go buy my dresses? If I go to the mall, they're so expensive. Or, you know, but I also want to look nice. I don't want to be going to Goodwill each and every day. I want it to be affordable, good clothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that that was
quality clothing as well.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the kind of the journey that drove us, the beginning journey that drove us eventually into modesty. I mean, we took after the whole thing closed down, we got to the word, and we took a break. I took a break from business for probably.
Oh, yeah.
I took a good little break. Maybe. Because I think that business I closed that business down. Maybe it was 2016. 2016. That's when I closed everything down, and then we started doing the prophecy seminars, and I don't think we started test trying Modest Apparel probably 2018. 2 years later, maybe that's when we first started trying. Okay, man, we need to start working on getting some Modest pieces. And remember, we test try it first, and then we took a break from Modest Apparel shortly after that, because we wasn't finding the right. There was a lot of research that needed to be done to find the right sources, the right products. And I had to just go back to the drawing board, like kind of like
what is
like
the dress reform, like what does that look like? It must be anything. So we had to do a lot of learning, understanding the message for ourselves before we can preach it to anyone, in a sense. So with the whole Modest Apparel, I'll say at first it started as a ministry, because that's something I was going through. And that's something he had to be convicted, because the business him and his partner had, they were making hella money. Like the money was good. So I'm like, if we're moving forward with that, it's spiritual. It's not financial at this point. So that's something we have to be prayerful about it, and reading the Bible in spirit of prophecy, and like, how do we move forward with this? Because it's not only a business at this point, it's a ministry.
Yes. So there's a lot of consideration in regards to, like you're saying, like, I'll talk about that. And I counsel to a lot of friends, I'm like, yeah, man, hey, I've been thinking about running back, to that type of business, modesty. They're always like, hey, man, you know all about it already. You didn't, you guys should do it. And then, the prayer, doing a lot of research, and just talking to people, we just eventually saw a need for it. And there was not, we didn't see that's one thing also with Modest Apparel, man. It's like I think it's one of the most controversial ministries out there, in a sense, because modesty it is so broad in understanding to people of what modesty,
the culture,
what modesty
society
really is, and what because I mean there is so much to it in regards to Modest Apparel. There's people there's some people that just they new to the message. They're not gonna do the 3 inches of the ground dresses. You know what I'm saying? They're just not gonna do that. They don't understand that yet. And there's some people that are there. And then one thing I started learning about modesty, I don't put
uniform.
I'm not gonna go tell somebody. I'm not gonna have a ruler and have to measure somebody. I feel like once you get to that point, I feel like it's legalism to me. I'm not gonna go. Hey, I'm gonna go to church and stand at the door and keep a ruler. It's just 3 feet off 3 inches off the ground. I don't think that's what God is calling us to do. But I do believe that there's a need for it to be covered up and then to be presented. In a manner where you are relatable as a young person, if you're a mature adult, where you are relatable to your age group, and that you're covered up and you're representing Christ, and you're not becoming a stumbling block to other people. I think that's the focus to have, is to not be a stumbling block to other people. And with modesty, it's so broad. It's like one person could wear a dress and on them it's not modest. What somebody else wear that same dress on them is modest, based on their body style. So there's so much factor and component into that.
That's true.
Where we those things that's things we are learning as we getting involved more into that business, and then eventually that's one thing we want to eventually get into where we have full control of everything we produce ourselves. But for the time being, we are at the mercy of a lot of other factories and manufacturers that we work with right now. But our main goal is to eventually produce ourselves.
Yes,
that's awesome. That's the goal in the future.
Yeah, that's the goal in the future. Well, that's one of the
that's awesome.
One of the goals
that's
in the
awesome.
future.
Yeah, it's so interesting though, because I love how you said that it was a ministry, right? It wasn't about the financials; it was about the ministry. And that's one thing that I truly believe, is that any true business is a gospel business, because the gospel is a wonderful simplifier of life's problems. It says, and so that means the gospel solves every problem the world ever experiences. When the gospel completes his work, every problem will be done. Every problem will be solved, right? Death, sorrow, sickness, pain, all that will be taken care of when the gospel completes its work. And so when we're talking about putting a business together, if we don't have a problem or a need that we're solving, then our business can't survive, because it's not built upon the foundation of the gospel. And so when you said that, I saw what was going on in my life and my experience. Then I recognized that other young ladies are also having this same issue, right? I saw a need there, and so the what came up from out of y'all was the need to then help those individuals. But I love how God uses things to where the thing that He has called you to do not only helps take care of others, but also it could be a blessing unto you as well. Everything God does is a win-win situation. I love these win-win situations from God. And so He said when He made Aaron's, the priestly garment, said He made it for glory, right, and for beauty, right? Yeah. Glory and beauty, right? So they should character. They should be modest, but yet they should be beautiful. And so I love what you guys are doing, and I love how you have started it. I want to ask you, right, what was that moment of impact that you had, right? That maybe that one individual that purchased a specific dress from you, or that one person that made a specific comment about something that they received from you. What was that one moment where you realized, you knew that it was for ministry, right? But that one moment of impact that you said, okay, this was the reason why God led me through even working in this fashion business from before to learn these things. This is the reason why God pricked my heart. So for me to change, the way I go about presenting myself, and then start helping others with that need that they have. What was that moment of impact with another individual that you said, man, that moment went with this sister, or with this family, or this gentleman, right? That showed me, like, okay, we have to continue what we're doing.
I'll go. I'm more of a personalized person. I love having one-on-one conversations. I don't like big groups. I don't like big assemblies. I like personalized conversations.
Right, and,
right. This young lady, I was talking to her, and sometimes, even going up in the church, when you wear the wrong things, people let you know. If not by words, by the looks, people let you know. And as someone who's been there, who had those looks, and people saying stuff, me sitting down, what I was able to, how do I say it, minister to her in a sense about dress reform without her feeling that she was being judged. And I wasn't telling her, hey, what you're wearing is not good, you need to take it off, you need to do better. I was also able to give a solution, offer a solution by the good of God. And I say, I think this will look better on you because of A, B, and C. And we left the conversation with both of us being blessed in a sense, where we were both laughing and nobody was offended. Nobody was offended. And she was happy with the result, because she felt like, okay, she knew what she was wearing wasn't the best and it wasn't pleasing God. But the fact that she felt like, okay, I have a better solution that God is pleased with, and nobody's heart was broken in that process, to me, that's always the way of God. That's what Jesus would have done, where you don't have to offend people all the time to get your point across.
Amen.
You can still be loving and always offer a solution to whatever the problem is. So I think that's the one that stick in my head the most.
I mean, yeah. So for the most part, modesty, man, is one of those things that's like I said at the beginning, controversial, because a lot of people have, they'll preach modesty, but there's no solution to modesty, and that's one of the biggest problems I noticed in regards to listening to a lot of the preachers being involved a lot now in present truth ministry and understanding the message more clearly. I've heard tons of preachers preach about modesty, but that one preacher could say, well, go to this website, ladies, where you could find items that are affordable, that you could wear, nice, and that you could still look presentable, could still look nice. Materials. Not one. They'll tell you dress modestly, but how? Nobody knows. So I think that's where the biggest problem that I noticed. And then and some of the like I said, highlights that we had, some people with social media, man, people will tell you, and then when people follow you, they expose you to your ministry or to your business. They're like, hey, they'll send you a message. Man, I've been looking for this type of startup clothing forever. I can never find it. And then I'm like, I've been searching for this type of, I've been looking for years for this type for a boutique or a clothing line that just cater to just my style or to what I'm really to do, you know. And then they say it was hard to find that because there's not one business out there that you could really say that okay they cater to modesty. You know, H&M, for between all this other big name brand, they're not catering to modesty. Pieces. You'll find a few pieces here and there,
and expensive.
And yeah, so they're not catering to that. So once you created that, we created an avenue to do that, and then we started to even have some gospel celebrities reaching out to us eventually, and then working with some people that are that are very well known in the gospel where we send in pieces and they wearing it, and then they promoting the idea of modesty to their people, and then it became a whole ministry where now whenever we ship an order out to an individual, we put a track in it. Eventually we want to get to books, as the business grow, we want to send out tracks and books. I want every order that go out with a great controversy. That's my goal. But eventually, we working our way into that. But I think that's some of the most highlight for us. That just really shows this is the path that we need to go because there's a need for it, and then people are seeking.
Yes. Wow, man. Yeah, that's so true. When my wife came across you guys, clothing, it was like literally the same thing. She's like, I've been looking for everywhere for something like this. And I remember one time, this was before we got married, but she was showing me how she found this website, and this was in Turkey. She ordered some stuff from Turkey, man. She's like, I gotta go all the way to Turkey to find something that really fits what I'm looking for, right? At the end of the day, what you guys are saying is that's driving home to me is we have to have solutions. We cannot just bring people and just point out problems, but don't have solutions. Jesus gave the people something better, right? And I remember I made a statement on I think it was on Facebook a couple weeks ago. So some people asked me like, okay, what do I mean by the statement? But I was saying, as soon as the church realizes that the world doesn't want Jesus, is the sooner that we actually get to give them Jesus, because the world doesn't want Jesus. What the world wants is better marriages. What they want is, clothes that fit them, right? That's affordable. What they want is, right, the ability to get out of poverty. What they want is food that's actually nutritious and a way to actually get their body and their sickness under control.
Exactly.
Now Jesus has all those things, but they don't see that. They don't understand that, right? And the church has been made as the bridge between them and Jesus to bring them to him through the avenue of solving the problems of life that they have, right? Of bringing solutions to them. The solutions is the bridge across. And this is why we keep saying, right, that business and ministry must work together. They have to work together. We have to innovate, right? We have to create. We have to think and dwell upon problems and figure out how to not just point out problems, but how to solve problems. And I want you guys to share, as we close, I want to close. I thank you guys so much for joining us on the podcast. I'm going to take a brief moment just to, like we say, pay some bills here. But after we're done with that, I want to come back to you guys, and I want you to really just share maybe just one or two things for individuals who have a gift, have a talent, right? They have something that God has specifically gifted them with. But they're still feeling as if they're timid in moving forth in using that gift through the avenue of some business or some entrepreneurship path for God's glory, and recognizing that, look, you can minister through this avenue. What maybe one or two tips, maybe some encouraging words that you can give to them, right? But I want to just stop and just say this episode of Lion and the Lambo is sponsored by Tent Makers 101. Tent Makers 101, where Christian principles fuel business practices. And I know you may be saying, are you a tent maker, right? What is a tent maker? Look, you are a tent maker if you have a gift, a talent, a product, a service, any business that is seeking to follow in Jesus' footsteps and meet the needs of the community so you can impact them with the everlasting gospel. We're meeting on Facebook with other entrepreneurs in order to foster growth, collaboration, and strategic partnerships for increasing your brand awareness and your revenue, because we truly believe every business is a ministry. When you accomplish God's purpose for you in the world in the form of products and services that provide true value to your particular audience, then you are truly successful. So don't wait. Join us now on Facebook at Tent Makers 101 Biblical Entrepreneurship. So, Mr. and Mrs. Perjuste, what are one or two things that you would like to share to those who have that gift, have that talent, but yet they're timid right now and moving forward, right? They're essentially burying their treasure, right? Their talent in the dirt. What are one or two things that you would share to them to encourage them to move forward in the plans that God has for them?
I'll go with mine too. I would say before you move forward, know your why. Why? Yes, a lot of people have talents, but for you to open something to serve, why? What I'm doing, is it because someone else is doing it? Why am I doing what I want to do? Know why you want to do it. Make sure that your intentions are pure. And once you know your why, and you know, like, hey, God, give me that talent. This is why I should use it. I say go forward, because there's a reason why your conscience is pricking you at that moment. It's because God says, okay, I give you this talent. If you don't use it, guess what? Someone else will use it, right? When we look at the story of the talents, God says, I didn't give you this talent to bury, invest, move forward, you know? So as long as you know your why and you know your intentions, I say move forward, or you will lose that talent. Because whatever business or whatever you're thinking of right now, someone else, 10 other people are thinking the same thing. Whoever move forward first have the advantage. Yeah. So that will be my two advice.
I'm just gonna just put it all together in one. I'll say, man, just the most important thing is take a leap of faith, man. That's the most thing I could tell you, man. I think about my journey, man. If I never took everything is I mean, all the decision, all my business venture that became successful was just by me just taking a chance, man. I mean, it's all the obstacles or whatever you see in front of you always seem high or big, but you always gotta think to yourself. One thing I always tell every entrepreneur, understand your market, test try your market. If you see a need for it, you can conquer it. And especially in living in these last days, as especially as Seventh-day Adventists, God has given us a lot of counsel in regards to avenues of work that He wants us to get involved in. So if your talent fall within those avenues of work that God wants you to do for the last day, that at that moment, there's not even no if or but. You already been called. It's just trust God and just go. You know, just trust God and go. And don't make no foolish decision. Just going out there and strategically plan. Sit down. Just write a business proposals. Go through it. See where there's a need and where you could share the gospel. The most important thing is whatever you do, it has to be an avenue where you could expose the gospel.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? If you open a restaurant, it has to be something where, okay, the people that are coming in here, I need to be able to share the 300 message with them. If I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing, I have to be able to share the gospel, and in whatever I'm doing, I must be able to pray to God about it and it doesn't bother my conscience. Because a lot of times we have this idea we want to do, but they're not really according to God's will. So make sure that whatever you're doing is according to God's will. If it's according to God's will, I think just take a leap of faith, man, and just try and go. Let's go. It's time.
Wow. Amen. Go ahead.
I think that's it for me. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, I have a poem that I wrote. And I just think I close with, a couple of those lines, because I think it goes with what you're saying, and take that leap of faith, right? It says, we're at the edge of the cliff. I see the fear in his eyes. We aren't friends if I don't tell you jump, right? But I'm not talking about suicide. At the edge of the cliff, I see the fear in her eyes. We aren't friends if I don't tell you jump. I'm not talking about suicide. They like, what if I die? I'm like, what if you fly? All they see is brown dirt. All I see is blue skies. Like, what if I die? I'm like, what if you fly? He's paralyzed in his mind. Relief comes after you dive, right? It's after we take the leap of faith, right? That, a lot of times our feelings are in opposition to the what faith calls us to do, right? And it's only after we take the step of faith that the feelings then come, right? The joyous feelings are then granted unto us. And so I want to encourage you guys out there, take that leap of faith. If you want a community where we'll be there to be able to help you and encourage you as you're navigating that leap of faith that you're looking to take. Again, Tent Makers 101 is a great community that you can connect with us there on Facebook. Reach out to us. And again, want to just thank my two guests, man. Where can the people find you at? Where can they find these modest apparels that you guys are curating for them? Let the people know.
All right. So currently, we are located in Charlotte, North Carolina. For the time being, we're not sure if that's where we're going to be at forever, but for the time being, that's where we're at. We are also online. You can find us at Modest Apparels, apparels with an S.com. You could go on Instagram, Modest Apparels 2. You find our Instagram page, or you could also go on Facebook, type Modest Apparels 1, and you'll find us also there on Facebook. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, on our online website, modestapparels.com. And then sooner or later, our goal is to plan on opening a store very soon in the Charlotte area. Yeah. So eventually, if you follow our social media pages, you'll see the store location when it wants to come up. And then, like we're saying, we'll take a leap of faith. That's it. Take a leap of faith, man.
Man, thank you guys so much for sharing that. Again, all of that will be in the description of the video. If you're listening on podcast, it will be in the podcast description. So you guys can just go in there, can click on that, go see what they got. Look, I'm telling you, my wife orders from this site. Okay, so I'm not just talking. Okay, like I'm a part of this. Okay, and I've seen it. She just wore one of the dresses to church last week. Okay, I mean, literally she just wore one. Okay, so, and I'm sure there are going to be more to come because they are very, very beautiful. So we appreciate you guys for coming out again. Everybody, check us out: Apple, Google, Amazon Music, YouTube. Subscribe, follow us, and let's check in. Lion and Lambo, where we talk about biblical entrepreneurship, true, right? We talk about impact and true success. See y'all later.
All right.
Thank you.
Later.